I reckon back in the 1950s, when young boys were making up their Christmas wish lists, something like this would have been on quite a few of those lists, I reckon. Welcome back to Canic Air. What I have here on the bench is a Benjamin number 132, a pump-up pneumatic 22 caliber air pistol made primarily of brass. This gun, I believe, was made around 1957 or 1958 according to the serial number. It says Benjamin Franklin on the side of it, which is an interesting use of an American historical figure. It's a pretty handsome gun. Nice size, considerably smaller than the pump-up pneumatic guns that we have today, like say the Crosman 1322 that I reviewed some time ago. This is, of course, a much older gun and fairly small pump handle. Oddly enough, this is actually wood, and yet the grips are this translucent plastic material. And that's not an error. That's actually how they made the darn things. Very unusual. Fairly straightforward to use. You pump it up through the handle. I think it's 6 pumps is the maximum. I'll have to look that up. And then you pull this back, which cocks it, and you drop the pellet in there. Push it forward, lock it down, and you're good to go. There is a crossbolt safety, so you can lock the trigger, won't fire, and then push that way, and then off it goes. So I did refurbish this gun a couple of years ago now for a fella, and just brought it back to see how it's doing, double check that everything is still working well on it, and give it a chance to show it to you guys. But very interesting gun. I'll pull it all apart, show how it comes apart, and what parts to clean, lubricate, and yeah, go from there. So the 132 is all apart now. This is the heart of the operation. This is the pump that when you pull it out, lets a little bit of air in this little vent hole here, and then compresses it up so that eventually overcomes the valve here, and then ends up in the compression chamber, where it is stored until it is released. And what releases it is the hammer. This piece right here is cocked by the trigger mechanism, and then it is released, and this weight is enough to knock the valve open, let the compressed air bleed up into behind the pellet, into the chamber, into receiver here behind the pellet, and blast the pellet down the barrel. You'll see this is all soldered together. This doesn't come apart anymore. It's all done together at the factory with solder joints. It's not really a problem on a pistol like this. On the larger rifles where they're soldered, you hear complaints of people of having the barrels come loose over the years and wondering how they might be fixed. Yeah, definitely a bit of a difficult problem given this is all brass construction. This is a black painted finish. It's not original to the gun, but we have a few spots we can touch up here and there. Even managed to chip off a few pieces trying to get that fairly stubborn pin out. So, but it's all very nicely made. 1950s vintage. Can't complain about it too much. It's all very well done. Okay, so this is the pump linkage right here. Wooden little fore end on it. Very tiny, very petite. And that'll all be going back together again. And the trigger mechanism is all in pretty good condition. No problems there. There is the little ball bearing provides the little detent for the safety mechanism, and all those parts are present and accounted for. So that's always good. Very simple, easy to make design. This is a casting, and these pieces are stamped. Not high precision, but they do the job. So yeah, and then these grips, as I say, they're actually kind of cool. They remind me of the of Deckard's Blade Runner pistol. They had sort of a translucent look to it. Wonder where the prop department came up with that idea. Maybe the guy in the prop department had an old Benjamin and liked it. But yeah, these are all nicely made, all in good condition. We'll put them all back together again and see how the pistol is doing. So first up, to test over the chronograph, decided to go with the H&N Sport wad cutters. They're, I can't remember what the weight is on those, but they're a fairly hefty pellet. I decided to start off with 6 pumps, just to see how the gun was doing there. I tried, I think 3 pump, and the pellet barely made it to the barrel. So, but here we're, this shot here, just short of 400 feet per second. It sounds good, but maybe a bit of a false dawn there, because the next pellets were in the 330s, I believe. So that 392, I may have had some residual pressure still in the reservoir before I started my 6 pumps. But these next ones, though, I said the fairly consistent, if you discount that first one. So this gun seems to be pretty healthy in its pump mechanism, given that it's, gosh, almost 60 years old. Yeah, more than 60 years old, yes. Benjamin were quite proud of their high car piston material, and seems to have done the job. So the average was 345.6, which makes it a 3.63 foot-pounds with those 6 pumps. Then I switched over to these Chinese-made Grizzly pellets, just because I had them on hand, and I thought they might be something that might work well in this gun. They're a bit of a heavier pellet, and they are definitely slower with those 6 pumps anyway. I'm quite happy with the little lights I'm using on my chronograph now to light it, that I'm not getting any erratic readings. It's always a load off the mind to know you're going to get a good reading for every shot. So those ones averaged 317.6, very low extreme spread of 16, and but only 3.29 foot-pounds there. So I thought, well, let's try those grizzlies again, but with 10 pumps. This gets a bit tiring, but the reward there is that you're now at 386 feet per second with the first shot. The gun's supposedly capable of doing 12 pumps, according to the original instructions, but I decided not to quite stress it that much, giving a bit of deference to the gun's extreme age. And it's not my gun either, I don't want to break anything. .384, boy, yeah, these really are consistent, aren't they? And that one just blows that conclusion, goes a bit high at 409. So I did end up with an average of 386 for these 10 pumps with the grizzlies. And foot-pounds has gone up to 4.86. So I thought I'd start with the grizzlies at the range. And I decided to split the difference and run them all at 8 pumps, just because I wasn't going to do a lot of experimenting with power levels. It was very cold in the range that day, and my fingers going to get pretty darn numb. But even though I'm shooting at only 10 meters, these grizzly domes ended up shooting a 42 millimeter group, which yeah, definitely well over an inch there. So at that distance, I didn't think I was doing anything wrong with the gun. I was quite sure these pellets should have all been stacked on one top of each other. So it's maybe the barrel's a bit old, a bit tired. You never know. I tried the Daisy hollow point pellets. These are another Chinese-made pellet, and they're pretty tight to load into the gun. They're awfully long. So big problem here was. Yeah, I ended up with pretty much the same group size, but my fourth shot, if you wait for it, and there's a third one. And the fourth one doesn't seem to hit anything. It actually hit well below just below the camera angle there. The breech actually popped open because I wasn't able to close it quite tight. So clearly, yeah, these are not the right style pellet for this gun. So yeah, I had that problem with the Daisies before. They're an awfully long pellet. But the 5 I did get on target, again, 42 millimeter group, 1 5/8. So I thought I'd try the fancier RWS Meisterkuh guns. These are a 14 grain wad cutter pellet, and yeah, they start out pretty well. But only a little more accuracy, 39 millimeter group, so about 1.5 inches there. I still feel like the gun should be doing better. I feel like I'm shooting it as well as I can, but I changed my approach for the next group because I just thought, well, maybe I need to be seeing the sights a little bit clearer. I thought I was doing well, but so I switched over to my proper pistol shooting glasses that have an adjustable aperture on them. And then my camera battery died on me, so I don't have live shooting of these ones. I just have the final group here, which ended up being 28 millimeters with the H&N Sport wad cutters, which is an improvement. We're getting there. And then the best group of the day ended up being with the JSB Exact RS, which is a 13-something grain domed pellet. And didn't feel like my sight picture was any better or any worse than before, but maybe the glasses were helping, and then I ended up with a fairly tight group here. This ended up being the best group of the day. Only 3/4 inches, 18 millimeters, so that's not bad. Definitely shows some potential. Then I switched over to the heavier JSB Exact Diablo pellets, which are 15 plus grains, almost 16 grains. And you could definitely tell that even though I was shooting the same as before, there was a lot more vertical stringing on these, and the group was definitely worse for it. So it definitely pays to experiment with your pellets. These ones, not the right ones for the job. So in conclusion, the Benjamin 132 was definitely a very nice pneumatic pump-up pistol for its day. Earlier Benjamins had used a sort of a front bicycle pump type of arrangement, which was must have been rather difficult on a short pistol to pump them up. So the swinging pump handle was a better idea, and Benjamin had a real hit on their hands there for a few years, until obviously when competition from things like the Crossman started to cut in on their market. But this gun still is smaller, neater, a more trim design than the big Crossman that I have, the 1322. So, and it sort of hit me a little bit later that, oh yeah, this is the 132 Benjamin, and the Crossman was the 1322. So obviously not a coincidence there, but and very similar sort of layout and how they work and everything too. So whatever patents anybody had would have long expired by this point. But anyway, thanks for watching. Chronograph will return with more fun projects. Consider subscribing.